Hey, it's your boy Drew. It's a Monday and it's all about the motivation. So, today I want to talk about something that I used to consider as overrated until I had to undergo it myself, and that is self love. I can't say this was my entire life, but for a huge part, I had faced a lot of insecurities and a lot of self condemnation, because of certain things that I had heard or certain things that I had experienced. For example, last week I was talking about when I had gone through the process of failing exam after exam. During that period, I started to doubt how smart I was. I started to doubt my intelligence, and I started to look at myself as less. Apart from that, I had suffered from things like accepting my physical appearance, because you'd hear people say this and that, tell you this and that, even in your face, and it would get to my mind. But it had to take me to go through a lot for me to grow a thick skin and finally get to love myself. And when I finally got to love myself, that's when I began to glow and show myself. If it wasn't for that process, you wouldn't be seeing me here in front of you all. So when I talk about self-love, I'm not talking about being narcissistic or having an egotistic type of mindset or being self-centered. But I'm talking about being self-accepting and loving your uniqueness, For me, I would like to look at my journey starting from last year, 2020. I always like to say 2020 was my worst and my best year, because during the first half, I had faced a lot of emotional turmoil, and so much was affected psychologically. I believe so many of us were affected, during the COVID period. So during that time, my emotions of self-doubt and self-condemnation, they began to resurface and they amplified, and I had faced so much. I have made a short film called Hope. For you that would like to see this on my WeChat channel, you will find it, Hope. Yeah, it talks about that. So the first part of the year was about me being broken, and I started realizing how much self-resentment I had during that period. To see that I wasn't only, it's not that I just had a low self-esteem, but I also resented myself. I realized that all these years I was the type of person that was trying to give people love, and what I did give was genuine love, but I was trying to give the outside world love when I hadn't given it to myself, For those of you that know my story about For the Sake of Love, I'd written book 1 about the one, book 2, the chosen one. Till I finally came to book 3, which talks about loving oneself, and it's titled Love Oneself. The thing about self-resentment, self-doubt, and looking down on yourself is that it has this type of mechanism whereby people might look up to you, and people might always say like, wow, you're inspiring and everything. But when just one person just probably brings out a little small thing, you will ignore everything else, that the greatness that people might see in you, and you would focus on that little terrible thing. And even when people would try to recognize something good about you, you'd always feel like, nah, it's not real. And for me, I suffered with that, There would be, it was this thing like an equal world where there are people that are cheering you and they are behind you, and they're trying to tell you like you can do this here, all that, and everything like that. But then I used to feel like I'm inadequate, and even when just one statement is made, it would really get to me, and that's what I would think about continuously. And that self-resentment and that self-doubt prevented me from being me. It prevented me from me expressing myself, because I was always wondering, if I make this move, what will people say? If I do this, how will they look at me? But once I learned to accept me as the way God created me, with the beauty that He made me, with the uniqueness that He made me, I accepted everything, my outsides and my insides. It was then that I began to glow. It was then that you saw me even start coming out in front of you, being me, because it didn't matter what everyone else was trying to say, but how I felt on the inside. So sometimes it's not about the external environment, but it is about the internal environment. If you are not very well on the inside, then anything that happens on the outside can easily affect you. I had to go through a journey of self-love. I've written about it in the book Love Oneself, which I hope one day will come out and it will be shared with everyone else. But it's not something that comes overnight. It's not like you just wake up and say, hey, I love myself today. Like, it takes a lot. And it's not like, oh, from now, like, I never have these moments where I doubt myself. But man, I have overcome so much and I have finally become accepting. So this is my advice for today. Today's Motivation Monday. Learn to love thyself.